Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but first, I'm going to give you a good slice and dose of what it's like in the life of. One of the things that pisses me off to no end, and yes, I'm going to curse, trigger warning, is when you have an individual who go on TikTok or on YouTube and will proceed to moan, bitch, whine, and cry and talk about how much hurt they feel because they're the parent of an autistic child. Anybody ever think of asking an autistic what it's like to be the kid of such an individual? Do you think we find it fun? You think we like seeing this crap? Crying because of how much it hurts that we were born the way that we were? Oh, but it gets better because when you have one of us call it out, I'm going to show it to you here in a minute, they always inevitably go on the trope. It's a spectrum, and some kids are more difficult than others, and just parenting is difficult. Disability has nothing to do with it. Parenting is difficult, period, especially in the current timeline. I don't know if you've noticed. You think parents of neurotypical kids don't cry at night? You think they're not worried about where their kids are? You think their kids don't get messed up and get in over their heads? Because they do. Matter of fact, as an autistic, I can tell you, my neurotypical siblings have gotten to far more crazy messes than I ever did. Okay? Let me show you, shall I? This is what I got to pull up before I decided to do today's second video. Let's go back up, shall we? So this individual brought up this here. Raising an autistic child, the screaming, the crying. We don't understand the pain and the struggle. We see this. Parents, you're putting it out there for the world to see. You really think that we're not going to grow up and see this? How do you think that makes us feel? We didn't exactly ask to be here, did we? Of course, he talks about Autism Speaks because they've been trying to cure us for years. And then we get the inevitable. I understand her frustration. It's hard being a parent, let alone a parent to a child with special needs. Please kill me. I know this post might be offensive to some, but for others, it's helpful. And as we generally do as autistics, we will genuinely ask and open ourselves up to the whirlwind. To show you're not alone in your feelings. You know other people who don't have their life together and struggling, though it seems like everyone around you has their life together. To give light that you're not alone. And then he brings up the very obvious point that I just did. Do people make this content about non-autistic children? Because from what I hear, raising kids, period, is hard. So I don't know, that's just an odd thing to highlight, that they're autistic when there's already a stigma that we make people's lives difficult. Of course, she thankfully showed a few. The whole, there's the pain we feel inside from raising autistic kids, is simply stating a fact that parenthood is difficult. Where am I getting with this? We are being stigmatized by our own goddamn parents. Not everyone is lucky to have someone like my mom in their lives. They will post about their kids without their kids' consent. They will post meltdown videos so that people will pat them on the back and call them heroic. Without anybody caring how this affects us, the kid. Our parents are crying and talking about the deep hurt they feel inside because we were born the way that we were. Do you think for 5 minutes that this is not going to affect us? Do you think you applying for sympathy is going to be something that we're not going to find someday on the internet? You post our meltdowns without our consent. This is something that future employers will be able to pull up and look at when they're trying to determine whether or not they want to hire us as an employee, whether they want to have us as a speaker at a conference, whether they want to accept us into college. Being a parent is tough. Point blank, period. I may not be one, but I've helped enough. Parenting is tough. Having kids is tough, and you will hurt. But to specifically target the fact that I am an autistic child's parent, if you don't see that you're contributing to the stigma, and that you have now placed a target on your child's back that is going to follow them throughout the rest of their lives, then I need you to wake up and pay very extra special attention. Because once you put something out there on the internet, it's there forever. Your child is going to grow up, and you are going to pass someday. Their future employers are going to see this. College professors are going to see this. Do you understand what I'm saying? It will follow us. Again, I'm not cold-hearted. I have worked with these families for years, but there are other ways of doing things other than painting a target on your child's back. I've been part of a mentor-to-mentor program for over a decade. Since 2006. Well, almost a decade. There are parent groups out there where you can talk and you can be on social media in a space where you can get the support you need without alienating and painting a target on your kid. This world already vilifies us, maligns us, paints us as shooters, paints us as out of control killers, paints us as never going to grow up toddlers. I have dealt with all of it. Thank God I was born in the era before social media, or my life would be 1,000 times more than it already is. Okay? It is not helpful. And for those individuals that I like to call autism mommy TM, who spend their days on social media whining and making their videos and showing pictures of the meltdowns of your kids, you are a special kind. Special kind. And these are the same individuals, by the way, who cry the loudest about how dare drag queens. Funny things about those people that you try to ostracize, funny enough, we find one another and have each other's backs because you made it that way. And this crap doesn't help. This is the sort of thing that forms the collective opinion of the rest of society. It's how places like the JRC are allowed to exist decade after decade after decade. To the disclaimers. In the description box, folks, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by Neuroclastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they've threatened Neuroclastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Well, folks, Neuroclastic has refused, so you know the drill. Please read the article and share it on all your social media. Also included in there is Neuroclastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Also linked in there, the Ozarks' first article in regards to the Agape boarding school, now known as Stone for Help boarding school situation. This is a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens, that has impending, folks, over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor who still lives on the premises with full access of the boys, up on multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general too busy demonizing drag queens and trying and failing to defund public libraries to actually do his job. And you've got a governor off his nuts. So please, folks, send help, read that article, share it on all your social media. You're also going to see in there the regular pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masemba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, and the ever-present, self-explanatory Change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, folks, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones, all right? All right. This channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity on occasion. We speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger, they are watching this. Very obviously, parental supervision is very much advised. Now, trigger warning. We are once again about to descend into the mad ravings of the lunatic mind known as Dr. Matthew Israel. You're going to hear gaslighting, victim blaming, pseudoscience, and lies, abuse and torture apologencia, all from a man with a massive ego and even larger God complex. So, folks, prepare yourselves for the stupid. I bring the subject up that I just did. And let me say this. That is the exact reason why so many of us have a massive chip on our shoulder. Like larger than the state of Texas. So when you sit there, you Republicans, you're just being woke and going with the agenda. This is why, you know what I want to do here, but censoring myself, yeah. And those of us who are old enough to be called ancient autistics, that goes double for us, all right? Sit down. You are no different than any other parent out there. And if you sit there and try to tell yourself that your child would have been perfect as a neurotypical, you have not seen the issues with neurotypical kids lately. Hate to break it to you. Neurotypical kids get addicted to drugs and alcohol. They do stupid crap that ends them in the hospital or hurt. Neurotypical kids argue with their parents, curse out their parents, call them names, scream at them, throw things. But they do these things willfully. It's not even a part of a diagnosis. Being a parent is tough, period. You do not deserve to have some special prize just because I got a label or your kid got a label. Okay? What do you want, a cookie? God, this is why I'm done with humanity, folks. This is why I am just so done. But let's move on, shall we, to where we were last time. I would say I'm sorry about the outburst, but God, I have had enough. I am tired of these people continuing to push this. And then we have to suffer the consequences. And when we mention this, we hear the infant ad nauseum, "You're not like my child." And they never seem to listen when we mention, maybe not, but I'm more like your child than you will ever be. They never seem to hear that part. But anyways, adversives for harmless behavior. Items 8 and 32 above in this section address the issue. Doctor, you've never addressed an issue in your entire life. If you think what you provided was so-called addressing the issue, no, you didn't. You made excuses. You made up lies. You made up pseudoscience. You tried to somehow maneuver it around in nonsensical language and then just try to tell us by your appeal to authority that this is somehow an answer. On what planet, sir? On what planet is your nonsensical word salad rambling an answer? Yeah. You've never addressed a single elephant in the room in your entire life. You've never asked a single question anyone in the disability or autistic community or neurodivergent community has ever addressed to you. You dance around it, you throw pseudoscience with a dash of word salad and call it good, without having actually addressed a single thing asked of you. Guy could give AH a few lessons. It literally hurts my brain. Deeply, deeply hurts my brain to read through your nonsense every week. Like, your brain twists in such bizarre circles that by the time I'm usually done with those videos, I have to detox for at least a solid minute by staring at a white wall. Just saying. One student stated that she felt depressed and fearful. She is not permitted to initiate conversation with any member of the staff. Her greatest fear is that she would remain at JRC beyond her 21st birthday. This criticism, raised in the INSEAD June 9, 2006 report, was answered in JRC's response to the INSEAD report. No, it wasn't! No, it wasn't, Doctor. Because we've read it on this channel. Throughout the entirety of the innate, babbling word salad spectacular that you call response to New York, you did not address a single thing New York brought up. You did not answer one single question. It was more inane babbling with pseudoscientific words and stupidity. You addressed nothing, sir. You addressed nothing. You addressed literally nothing. But then you throw in, but loss of privileges, as though that answers anything. New York was questioning the entirety, including loss of privileges. You addressed nothing. Nothing. Like you're doing here. 115 pages of word salad. That's what this is. 115 pages of word salad, self-congratulating, self-patting on the back, and supposed martyrdom. That's what all this is. It makes no coherent sense to anyone, especially those of us who've worked in this field. But let's read the next part, shall we? I was always in restraint when I came to JRC. Being in restraints wasn't helping me, so I wanted GED. I had 20,813 problem behaviors in 5 months before the GED. Once again, the MDRI takes a testimonial that is favorable to the JRC, appearing on JRC's website, and alters it to make it appear to contain negative comments about the JRC. So we're lying. We're lying to you, folks. It's all bull. We're all just wanting to target poor Dr. Matthew Israel. Don't you know we're all lying? ARC's lying, Nova's lying, Burl's lying. March of Dimes is lying. Even, the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture, we're all lying. What motivation do you think we could possibly have, Doctor, to do that? Do you think we get compensated for this? Does this look like a mansion to you? Me and my, although very comfortable, Walmart couch. In my apartment, in one of the worst states for people like me in the Union. New York lied. We're all lying, folks. And the only one you can really believe is Dr. Word Salad Israel. No. Most of us, all the groups who have come out against this place, have caseloads literally to the skies. Especially the state departments. Especially state special education departments that run on even less than a shoestring budget. We get no compensation for this. We're doing it because we know what we're doing is right. We are trying to save those kids. And that matters more to us than even our own livelihoods. Okay? Dr. Matthew Israel is once again lying. Who's surprised? Seems he's fluent in the language, isn't he? Once again telling you that we are taking a statement and then lying to make it against the JRC. In spite of the fact that you can go on to Autistic Hoya's massive archive, pull up and look at the MDRI report for yourself. And you have been able to do so ever since the MDRI first wrote it. They present the entirety of the testimony. They tell you it's in favor of the JRC. And then they do what we do. They read that testimony. We dissect what we find in there that is disturbing in spite of the flowery language. We call out what we find to be abusive because guess what? It's still America and we're still allowed to do that. That doesn't make us misrepresenting anything, doctor. Okay? We present the statement. We say it's in favor of the JRC. We still pull from those statements what is shown to be clearly going on behind closed doors, and then we provide the context that you in the testimony do not, with video surveillance footage to back it up. That's not misrepresenting anything. But as always, it's all us. We just want to attack poor Dr. Israel because we just don't know what's good for us. And if we would just shut up and never go out in public and be good little disabled people, maybe we'll get our own GED device. Sorry, not sorry. I did mention this is not a kid's show. Well, let's finish, shall we? The complete statement that Jinnell made is shown below. The phrase that the MDRI authors have used in putting together the above false quotation is shown in full bond. We took the words from the statement, Doctor. If those words were uttered in that statement, do you know what that means? It means we are not lying. We are not misrepresenting the words. We are showing the words in their full context, and then providing our own opinions and context based on what we know from surveillance footage, ER documents, DESI reports, and the New York reports, what we know to be true. That's not misrepresentation. What you do is misrepresentation. A very, very poorly used, I don't even know. God. Conveniently omitted are such words as, and I'm able to be in a classroom. I passed the math MCAS. I'm taking classes out in the community, and I'm able to go home visits, and I have a better relationship now with my mother, and I take the GED away. You're putting many lives in jeopardy. That's the lie, doctor. You got these kids to believe the lie because it's a lie. And you want to know how I know it's a lie, doctor? Lived experience. Okay? Lived experience. And not just that, when you try to go ahead and disqualify me because I'm autistic. I've also worked in this field. Now do you get it? Just because you got a student to write a favorable testimony does not make what you do okay or defendable. Okay? You realize that there were large amounts of people who praised Hitler. Does that make him a good person? Does that make anything he did right? No. Okay? No. Dr. Israel would like you to believe that advocates like me, because notice he never tries to take on his big organizational detractors like ARC. He always guns for us because he believes we're weak targets. Is that we're just lying. But if we're lying, again, how this also mirrors the JD versus AH case so closely, if we're lying, then ARC is lying. The New York State Department on Special Education is lying. The state of California is lying. Rhode Island is lying. March of Dimes is lying. Unsilenced is lying. DESE is lying. The Massachusetts Department on Social Services is lying. The UN Special Rapporteur on Torture is lying. Everybody's lying but Dr. Matthew Israel. That's his argument. He provides no context, no reason for any of us to be lying, but we're lying. Doesn't work, does it? You can give a testimony under duress or otherwise, because we all know Stockholm Syndrome exists. Praising you to the skies, doctor, telling us that it's life-saving, it's changed everything for me, doesn't make it true. Especially when you are literally in a situation where our receipts have receipts at how horrific this place is. But even if we didn't have that, we saw what you got up to in the Andre McCollum's video, doctor. That video speaks louder than any so-called testimony that you want to throw in our faces. And we're going to close out on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Smelling Tea do hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.